Again, and thank you once again for joining us on today's Lunch with Haley. Today, I have the pleasure of talking about online branding and reputation management. And this is Brad Smith. I am the Director of Search Engine Optimization and Social Media Marketing here at Haley Marketing. So I lead the division of our business that focuses on helping clients build their online reputation, whether it's through website development, search engine optimization, social media marketing, content development. We're going to cover all of those today, and I'm really happy that you joined us. We're going to do something a little bit different on today's webinar. It's something that we haven't done in the past, but I want to encourage everyone on this call not to close out of the webinar, but to open up a window side by side with the webinar and log into your Twitter account. We've created a Lunch with Haley tag, a hashtag, and what we'd like you to do is ask us questions, get answers, make comments about today's webinar, share things that have worked for you online in your business, engage with others in back and forth conversation, and tell us what you think. And while I'm conducting the webinar, our team of social media experts here are going to be answering those questions. They're going to be help moderating. They're going to be posting things and highlights from the webinar. And moderating that will be Jenny Keller, Kyle Denhoff, and Greg Everhart. And combined, they're working with over 100 staffing and recruiting firms on their online brand. So they help with content development. They help with social media marketing. They help with search engine optimization. So they have some great insight into what's working for staffing and recruiting firms out there. So please take advantage of this. Use the hashtag Lunch with Haley. Our Twitter account is at Haley Marketing. So please engage with us, and if you don't want to engage or you don't have a Twitter account just yet, hopefully you'll have one after this call, but feel free to use the question panel, too, to ask any questions. And I'll try to answer those questions as they come up during the webinar, and also highlight anything afterwards on Twitter using that hashtag Lunch with Haley. So without further ado, let's jump into things. Let's talk a little bit about today's agenda. We're going to cover a lot of things about online marketing, and first we're going to start off talking about why online branding is so crucial. We're going to look at the key elements of your online brand, and those are your website, creating good content for that site, your social media presence, so getting people active on Twitter like we're trying to do right now. We're going to talk about online review sites. A lot of people don't think of these when they think about their online brand, but you need to pay attention to online review sites, and we'll point out which ones to pay attention to and how you can follow those. And finally, we'll end things today with talking about monitoring tools to help you stay aware of what's being said about you online so that you can better control your reputation. So why is online branding so important? Well, I think there's a good exercise to help us find out why this is so important. I want you to just think to yourself, where is your money currently spent? Think about two scenarios. Think about your brick and mortar facility. Okay, so what do you spend on rent? What do utilities cost you each month? What have you invested in decor in your office? And then compare that to what you spend on your online presence. So what did your website cost this year? How much money have you invested in online marketing this year? How much time and resources have you put into your social media presence? And I want you to think about this because I bet that the money you spend on your online presence is a fraction of what you spend in your brick and mortar facility. And if you look at your online traffic, so hopefully you have some analytics on your website, you'll find that there are way more people that are coming to learn about your business by visiting your website, looking at your social media sites, going online, than will ever walk through your front door. And here's a quick illustration of this. This is from the first quarter of this year. This is a staffing firm that's located in the Midwest. Okay, they have 3 locations, not a very large staffing firm. They do clerical and light industrial staffing. And in the first quarter of 2013, they saw almost 300,000 visits to their website. Unique visitors were over 250,000 unique visitors coming to their website. Do you think 250,000 people walked through their door in the first 3 months of 2013? No. It was a fraction of that. Okay, yet most staffing companies invest heavily in their brick and mortar facility, and don't invest as much as they should in their online presence. So I just want you to think about that and think about where you can really beef up your online presence, because before anyone considers stepping through that door, they're looking you up online. They're looking at your website. They're making sure you're professional and making sure that you're going to provide value to them. The problem with most, we're going to transition here to a staffing firm's website. So kind of the core of your online presence is your website. And what I find most frequently when I look at staffing firm websites is they all highlight two things. We provide the best customer service, and we offer the best talent. Okay, and the issue with that, whether or not they do, whether or not you provide the best service or you have the best talent in your market, it doesn't matter because everybody is saying that same thing. So you need to come up with a different value proposition. Okay, you need to stop saying we provide best customer service. Stop saying we provide the best talent. Stop filling your website with BS, and flip things around. So instead of talking about what you offer, talk about the value you provide. Okay, so your website should be about your employees, your clients, and your potential prospects. Okay, so think about the actual value that you provide. Think about the headaches that you solve and why someone would choose to work with you over the competition. So turn it around. It's not about you, it's about them. So what goes into a great website? Well, a few things here. You want to make sure that doing business with you is easy. And the next few slides will highlight some things that you can do on your website to make doing business with you easier. A great website can help reduce the cost of doing business. So if you can make working with you a little bit easier, make the candidate intake process easier, it's going to be a great website. It delivers a wow experience. What can you do on your website to make people say, wow, this is a company that I have to pick up this phone and call. It's a company that I have to visit. It's a company that I want to work for. I want them to represent me. Your website can help give that wow customer experience. You want to make sure that you drive home your key message and your key value proposition. So again, what value do you provide to clients and candidates, not what services do you provide to clients and candidates. You can make your site fun and memorable. So think about the personality of your organization and get that across on your website and your social presence. And last but not least, you need to make sure that your site is mobile friendly. Our last Lunch with Haley webinar was all about mobile. Okay, if you weren't able to attend, go to our website. We have it archived there. It's a great webinar, but it highlights the importance of a mobile-friendly website. I've seen many staffing and recruiting firm sites that are getting 30 to 40% of their entire traffic from mobile devices. Okay, that's up 100% from the end of last year. So you want to make sure that your site is mobile friendly and it provides a good user experience. And I just had a question come in here. Will we have access to these slides after the webinar? You sure will, and you actually can get access to these slides right now. I posted a link on our Twitter account with the hashtag Lunch with Haley. So a link to those slides is currently available, and we'll also send that out in a follow-up email here. All right, so let's transition over to what makes a great staffing website from a client perspective. And we talked a little bit about making doing business with you easier, and you can accomplish this through a client extranet. Look at timesheet approvals, usage reports, candidate feedback, open job order status, those type of things. Talk to your staffing software provider. They probably have a great plugin or a great way to incorporate a lot of these features into your website. Okay, so I would start the conversation there. And then if you have questions, we can certainly help too. Look at online ordering. So make it as simple as possible for people to request an employee. Okay, when you talk about the value that you provide, again, not the services you provide, but the value you provide, end that with an easy way for them to place an order. Okay, that's a form. Okay, it's something easy to add to your site, and it is available 24/7. So if somebody is searching for an employee at midnight and your office isn't open, they can still submit that request. Some other key things that can add value. Look at staffing education. Explain to people how to use your services more effectively. That's going to provide some value to them. Give sample forms and policies. For example, if you have an employee review form, okay, put that up on your site. Your clients will really appreciate that. You want to look for dynamic content, so blogging, polls and surveys, and RSS feeds. And later when we talk about search engine optimization, we'll show why dynamic content is so important to your online brand. And last but not least, the lead capture. Make sure that your website captures leads. So again, forms, newsletter, opt-ins, landing pages, white papers that collect people's information. People will give you their contact information if they're getting something of value, so take advantage of that. On the candidate side, candidates, again, want mobile access. They want an extranet. So look at online applications to make it as simple as possible for them to complete their paperwork ahead of time before they come into your office. Look at orientations, feedback. Here's a biggie. If you don't have a job board on your site, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Job boards are the single most visited feature on just about any staffing or recruiting website that I've seen. Okay, if you don't have one, get one. If you do have one, pick up your iPhone, pick up your Android device, pick up any other mobile device that you have, and go through the candidate experience on your mobile phone. If it's not a good experience, if a candidate has to fill out a long form application, you're going to be losing them. Okay, so examine your job board, make sure that it's mobile friendly. And then a lot of job boards out there will help you integrate it with your social networks so you can get your jobs in front of more people. You can push your jobs out to Twitter. It's a great way to increase applications and increase your social presence. Look at testing and training opportunities on your site. Job search counseling, so you can write some great resume tips, great interview tips. It not only provides value to your candidates, but it provides value back to you. If your candidate goes to an interview more prepared, they're more likely to get that job offer. You're more likely to fill that order. So it's a win-win. And just like we mentioned on the client side, on the candidate side, you want to look at lead capture. So this is a great way to get those passive candidates. So look at search engine optimized job postings, look at blog content, look at e-newsletter opt-ins to capture those passive candidates so that you have them in your database and you can actively push jobs out once you've captured them. All right. When you look at your website, and really effective websites have great design, but they also have great, short, quick-hitting copy. So when you're looking at the website copy, the text on your site, number one, it shouldn't be a novel. And I know it's hard for many business owners to get past that. You want to say everything about your business. People don't want to read everything about your business. They want a high-level overview. Okay, so they're going to look at the key points. They're going to look at the headlines. They're going to look at a few bullet points. And that's what's going to draw their attention in to dig for more information. So put streamlined copy on your site. Make sure you clearly define how you want to be seen and carry that message through across your site. Tell a story, but try to do it in as little words as possible because, again, people aren't going to be spending a lot of time on each individual page of your site. You want to educate people about your services, okay, but do it in a way that conveys the value, again, the value of the services you offer. Don't just tell them what you do. Tell them how they're going to benefit from what you do. Give people a reason to come back. If your website just contains 5 pages, an About Us page, a Services page, Job Seekers, and maybe a Contact Us page, people aren't going to come back. Okay, once they learn about your services, there's no reason for them to come back. There's no dynamic content. So you need to make sure that you're adding in dynamic content, white papers, blog posts, articles, tips, and best practices to give them a reason to come back to your site. And last but not least, good website copy should generate sales leads. So at the end of every page on your website, make sure that there is an extremely strong call to action. If you don't tell the visitor to your site what they're supposed to be doing next, whether it's to place an order or click here to apply, you're not going to convert as many people as you can. So take a look back through all the pages on your site. Make sure there's a good, strong call to action. Okay, that call to action could be text. It could be a graphic button at the end of the text. It could be a graphic button in the sidebar. But think about that and think about what action you want people to take and make sure that your website clearly conveys that. I've mentioned this a few times, but remember, it's about them. It's not about you. So look at your website. If you have a lot of I and we's in your copy, change that to you and your. Okay, make it about them, not you. So how can you do that? There's you can provide some great information. So look at how-tos, market data, great pictures, infographics. You can find great infographics out there, or if you have data, you can create a great infographic for yourself. There's some free tools and some very cheap tools that will help you make infographics. And if you need help there, we can certainly give you some tips and pointers. Look at case studies. So what problems have you solved for other clients? Get that up on your website, because prospects out there are having the same challenges. If they know that a similar sized company was able to solve the same challenge they've had, they want to know about it. Look at great writing. And when we talk about great writing, sometimes it's strong opinions. Don't be afraid to take a stand on one side or the other. Add some personality. So if you have a blog on your website, have some fun, add some personality, show the culture of your organization. In some cases, irreverent humor can be a great approach. And I will caution you, irreverent humor to be done well it's difficult to write, but when it's done well, it's extremely effective. But it has to match the personality of your organization. If you're an extremely professional organization, irreverent humor probably doesn't work. But if you're appealing to a younger audience, a younger generation, you're fun, you're hip, irreverent humor can be a great approach. And to wrap it up, let's remember it's not about you. So go back on your copy and read it from the candidate perspective. Read it from the prospect perspective, not your perspective. All right, so that's what goes into making a great website, and that was a very brief overview. We've got some recorded webinars that look at creating websites in much more detail. So if you want more information there, go to our website. There's some great information. There's a free ebook on how to create a great staffing website. I want to say it's about 40 to 50 pages. Great information there. But this webinar isn't just about websites. It's about your total online presence. Okay, so once you have this great website, we need to use online tools to drive traffic there. Okay, we need to build your brand. One of the most effective ways to drive traffic is obviously through search engine optimization. So people are using Google, people are using Bing to search for and find information that they're looking for. And back in late 2011, Google kind of changed things, and they said, you know what, we realize that today's consumer, today's searcher wants to find relevant, up-to-date, fresh information. So they said, you know what, we need to change our search algorithm. We need to change how we serve up search results. So when Google is deciding what staffing firms should be listed on the first page of results when somebody types in staffing in Kansas City, they're looking at a bunch of different factors, and they're looking at which websites are fresh, relevant, and up-to-date. Okay, so they want to make sure that your site has fresh content. They want to make sure that it's popular. A lot of people are going to it. They want to make sure that you're relevant. And that was, again, back in 2011. Earlier this spring, I put up a blog post on our website back in the middle of May. And who you see here is a gentleman by the name of Matt Cutts. He is the person at Google that helps decide what goes into their search algorithm. And he came right out and said in this video, and it's posted at our site if you want to see the full video, but he came right out and said pretty much that sites that don't have fresh and relevant content probably aren't going to do as good in search results as ones that do. Okay, so if you want to improve your search rankings, you need a plan to continually add good content to your site. A brochure where a website is no longer good enough. You can't just talk about your services and have a static page that's been there since 2008. It doesn't work anymore. If you want to maintain and build your search rankings and in turn drive more traffic to your website, you need to add content continually to your site. Things that are fresh, that are relevant, and that users are searching for. How do you do this? Well, number one, you add a blog to your site. A blog is the single most powerful SEO and branding tool there is. It allows you to continually add that content to your site. You don't need to be a programmer to do it, and anybody in your organization can add content. So it's extremely powerful. Why should you blog? Well, number one, direct communication. It gives you a forum for going out there and communicating with people and opening up back and forth dialogue. It helps you build your brand. It helps you position yourself as an expert in the field. It helps you differentiate yourself from the competition. So the competition might be out there saying they have the best service, they place the best talent. We know that they are saying that. You can actually prove it. So up on your blog, you can put case studies, you can put testimonials. So you can support that you do, in fact, offer the best talent and the best service without that being your core message, without it coming directly from your mouth. Blogging is relatively low cost, so that makes it very attractive. Again, anyone in your organization can blog once you have it up on your website. And the last bullet here is search engine optimization. Each new blog post that you put on your site creates a new page on your site that's optimized for a specific set of keywords. So it gives you an amazing opportunity to rank well for a variety of different search terms and in turn drive a ton of aggregate traffic back to your website. So it is the single best tool that I've seen. So what should you blog about and how often should you blog? Here are a few things that you can blog about. There's probably 100 more that you can add to this list. But number one, the value and the ROI of your services. You can do this through case studies. You can do this through testimonials, through statistics. If you're in Avero's Best of Staffing award, you can do this by explaining your Net Promoter Score, things like that. You can share company news and events. So if you have a new hire at your organization, get that up on the site. If you're contributing to a local charity or you're doing a fundraising event, put that up. Post those pictures on your website. Share the personality of your organization. Share interesting articles and insights. So if you come across a great article on the Wall Street Journal about a specific topic, you can write an executive summary about that. You can explain how it relates to your target audience. You can pull out your key takeaways from that article and then provide a link back to it. You can share career and hiring advice, so resume tips, job search best practices, how to ask for a raise, how to get a promotion. That type of content is sought after by both active and passive job seekers. And once you get them to your site, you can get them registered so that it's a great way to attract people in hard-to-fill skill areas. And how often should you blog? I suggest blogging as often as you can, as often as it makes sense. So to start, I suggest shooting for 1 or 2 times per week. As you get more and more people in your company involved, you could easily have a new blog post a day. But shoot for at least 1 to 2 times per week. How do you get started? Well, number one, begin developing content. That's kind of obvious, and get everyone in your organization involved. You can start by doing some brainstorming. So ask everyone in your company at every level in your company what the most popular question they get in a given day is. So your recruiters out there, talk to them about what questions they get. Your sales team, talk about what questions they get from potential clients and prospects. That makes for great content. Decide on a blogging tool. There are a bunch of blogging tools out there. There's Blogger, there's WordPress. We're very partial to WordPress. It is an amazing tool. There are a ton of great plugins available for WordPress, and it's supported very strongly. So if you're going to choose a tool, I'd probably suggest looking at WordPress. Set a game plan and expectations. What I typically find is that staffing firms that create a blog are great at generating content for the first month. There's a little drop-off in month 2. There's more drop-off in month 3, and by month 4, they have 1 post a month. If that's going to happen in your company, you may not even want to consider putting a blog on your site. You may want to just stick to that boring content. But for firms that do invest in it, they set a quota, they set expectations with their entire team, and they see huge traffic increases. So if you are going to go down this route, commit to it. It's going to take a little bit of time. We typically see it takes about 6 months to begin building up traffic, begin building up following, and having some really big impacts. But once you hit that point, it snowballs, and you're going to see some great traffic generation. Tie your blog into Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, other social sites, and we'll give you some tips here on each of those networks in a little bit. Analyze traffic, so look at Google Analytics. What that's going to tell you is where traffic is coming from. It's going to tell you what keywords are generating traffic. And it will give you an indication of what keywords aren't generating traffic. So if you want to, if you're not ranking for a specific search term or type of terms, you can see that in Google Analytics, and then you can plan your blog content strategy around that. And last but not least, stick to it. Don't give up after 3 or 4 months. It takes some time, again, to build up this following. If you stick with it, you'll drive a ton of traffic to your website, and it'll turn into a great lead generating tool and an amazing recruiting tool. And here's some data to support it. This is data from a staffing and recruiting firm. So they do everything from clerical and light industrial to executive level recruiting. They're based in Virginia. They've got about 5 or 6 offices. And back in 2009, they were getting about 3,500 visits from search engines, which is actually pretty good. Today, they're now getting almost 18,000 visits from search engines. And these are all people that are specifically searching for the services they offer. So it's a great lead generating and candidate recruiting tool for them. And I didn't just pick, I kind of picked this at random. I could show you the same type of chart with the same increase in traffic 100 times over. We have these statistics on every company that we're blogging for. So it's not just an isolated incident of this working. This works across the board. If you blog, over time you're going to get a lot more traffic and a lot more inquiries. All right, so we've talked about websites. We've talked about adding dynamic content to your website. Now let's switch our focus a little bit away from the website to social media. And I want to talk very briefly about a term called social relevance. Social relevance is changing how people are finding you. And let me explain what we mean here. Consumers are becoming more socially savvy. They're becoming social consumers. And there's some interesting statistics here. And one statistic that I wanted to highlight, 42% of people wrote an online post about a brand or a product. Think about this for a second. If 42% of the candidates that apply with your company wrote an online review about your staffing firm, what would they say? And don't feel bad here, because a lot of people that apply with your firm probably are unqualified. They're people that you may or may not be able to place. But if you can't place them, they may give negative feedback. They may say that, you know, this company wasn't able to place me. They're not a good staffing firm. When the reality is they just simply didn't have the skills for the position, and you couldn't place them. So what I'm getting at here is think about this. Think about the fact that even the people that you aren't working with, that you're not able to place, may be helping shape your online reputation. It doesn't all have to be negative, but just know that you need to pay attention to your social relevance factor. Make sure that you're aware of it and take the appropriate steps to craft a more positive social presence. And we'll give you some tips here in a second on how to do that. Social relevancy is not only important on social media sites. So the search engines, Bing and Google, are now looking at social media as a search ranking factor. And this is a quote directly from the head of Bing's webmaster program. So again, the person that helps decide what should and should not rank well in search engines. And he came right out and said, if you're not engaged socially, so if you're not active on social sites with your clients and your prospects, you're missing the boat. Because Bing is looking, and so is Google, they're looking at social cues. They're looking at people and companies that are popular on social media, so have a high number of followers, have a lot of people talking about them, and people that are very active in their accounts. And they're taking that into account when they decide whether your website should rank well or not. Okay, so if you want to rank well, if you want to get more traffic, if you want to build your brand in the local market, now you not only have to have a great site, you also have to have a site that is current, fresh, and up to date, and you also need to have a strong social presence. Okay, so don't neglect your social media presence, because it can hurt your search engine rankings. All right, so hopefully I haven't scared you too much. it sounds overwhelming. It's really not. There are a lot of things that you can do to tie all of this together so that when you're updating your website, you're automatically updating your social accounts, etc. So I want to give you some takeaways here. So what can you do on individual social networking sites to increase your social relevance, help improve your search engine ranking, and drive more prospects and candidates to pick up the phone and call you? So let's start with LinkedIn, and I wanted to start here because I think it's one of the most powerful tools, especially in the staffing and recruiting industry. And it's probably not a surprise to many of you on this call. You use it all the time. So let's cover some basics real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide, but you need to make sure that your profile is 100% correct. Your profile is indexed by Google and LinkedIn. So people are using LinkedIn search tool as a search engine. Make sure that you have keywords in your profile. If your official title is recruiter and that's your title on LinkedIn, it's not good enough. You need to make sure that you're mixing keywords there. So make sure you introduce keywords, geographic keywords, and the industries that you recruit for. So let's say you're an aerospace recruiter. Instead of just saying recruiter, put in aerospace recruiter in your title. Update your status frequently. This is one of those things that you can automate too. If you have a blog on your website, you can automatically feed your blog content to your LinkedIn status update. It's a great way to automate things, tie everything together, and make sure that you have a strong social presence. Number 4, if you don't have 500 connections, you're not trying hard enough. You probably have 500 connections in your Outlook contact list. Export that, import it into LinkedIn, and start building your contact list. And number 5, integrate everything you do online. So make sure that there's links to your Twitter account, your website, your blog. Make sure that everything ties together. So if somebody connects with you on LinkedIn, they have an easy entry point back to your website. We mentioned this, but again, update your personal status continually. Again, it can be automated if you have a blog on your website. You can use your RSS feed from your blog and automatically update this. Another great thing that you can do on LinkedIn is share blog content. I can't drive home the importance of a blog enough. It helps you improve your search rankings, and it helps you automate your social activity. So once you have good content on your site, you can integrate one of WordPress's great plugins and add these share buttons to your website. You click the share button, and up pops a window. Right from this window, you can share that blog post with any of the groups that you belong to in LinkedIn. You can also post this to your updates. Okay, so in the matter of 30 seconds, I can share my one blog post with my updates, so everybody that I'm connected with has the potential to see it, and I can post this to groups that I belong to. Okay, many of the groups that I belong to have thousands, tens of thousands, some even hundreds of thousands of members. So that gets my message in front of a lot more people. It drives a lot more people back to my website, and it helps position me as an expert in the field. It's an amazing tool. All right. Let's transition a little bit to Facebook and what you can be doing on Facebook to drive more candidates and prospects to your website. First and foremost, the thing that you need to do on Facebook is you need to get more people participating and get more people involved. And I want to explain something called EdgeRank. Facebook has their own algorithm on what content they serve up to people, and it's called EdgeRank. And when they're looking at EdgeRank, what they're saying is, just like Google and Bing, Facebook wants to serve up information that's most relevant for the user. Okay, it's going to keep people coming back. So they're looking at what pages out there, what brands, what companies, what people have the most influence. And what's driving that influence is people commenting, sharing, and liking your content. Okay, so you need to encourage people to click that share button. Encourage people to leave comments. And you can actually help build momentum internally. Okay, and what I mean by this is when you post something on your company page, ask everybody in your organization to go in and like that piece of content from their personal account. That does two things. One, it helps improve your edge rank, and two, it gets that message in front of everybody that they're connected with. So it's more likely to increase the viral traffic and help get your message in front of more people. So give yourself a boost and ask everybody in your company to do this. It will encourage participation and get more people talking about your company. When people do start talking about your company, answer them back. It's a great two-way communication channel. So if somebody leaves a great comment or question, answer back in that comment string. Even if they just leave a great comment like, oh, thanks so much for posting. Answer them back. Create that two-way dialogue, and it will help increase the likelihood that in the future that person will comment and others will too. All right, so what type of things can you share on Facebook to get that communication and get that involvement? Well, number one, share your blog content there. So there is a way to automate this too, so that you can have an RSS feed from your blog automatically update your Facebook wall. But I wouldn't rely solely on that. Facebook actually, part of their EdgeRank algorithm, they look at whether it was automatically fed to your page or you manually uploaded it. So if you manually upload content, you have a little higher EdgeRank, and more likely your message is getting in front of more of your followers and more people. So what you want to do is mix that. I'm not saying don't automate things, but I'm saying supplement what you're automating with more manual postings and add content to those postings. Here's a great example. We posted a article on how to use social media to drive leads, and we added some interesting content around that. You can do this very easily on your website too, and it starts with putting up good content on your website and then using Facebook to get it in front of more people. Share news and updates about your company. So if you do any type of surveys, if you do any type of research, if you have a new member join your team, share that type of content here. It's interesting content, and it can be a good traffic generator for your website. Share helpful tips and best practices. So it could be in the form of blog posts with a link back to your website, but it could also be just quick-hitting information. So maybe it's one tip of the day, and maybe it's something as simple as after your interview, send a handwritten thank you letter within 12 hours, or something along those lines. But think about quick-hitting information that you can post on your Facebook site. You don't have to be an author or a publisher. Just about anybody in your organization can come up with some great tips that you can share here. And some great content, post inspirational quotes. Some of the most feedback I've seen is from great inspirational quotes. If you are including inspirational quotes, include a picture. And as you can see here, it's a good foray into the next slide here. Tell a story with pictures. Including a nice, engaging photo can really drive up the likelihood that somebody's going to look at your post. There's been several studies done that show having a good picture attached with your post draws way more attention from the user to your piece of content, and it can help support the message that you're trying to get across in your post. All right, so some keys to sharing on Facebook. Number one, think about your audience. So think about who likes you on your Facebook page. And more than likely, it's going to be a mainly candidate-driven audience. So more candidates are likely to follow you on Facebook than clients. I'm not saying that clients won't follow you there, but more than likely, it's going to be candidates, job seekers. So write content that's specific to them. Mix it up with different types of content. So use photos, use blog content, use hard-hitting, one-line tips, use inspirational quotes. Post funny pictures. The fun stuff oftentimes gets a high level of engagement. So don't be afraid to have a little bit of fun. Irreverent humor on Facebook, it's allowed. Have some fun with it. It will engage your audience and get more people to follow you. One thing that I do want to point out, and it's one issue that I see a lot of times with staffing and recruiting sites, is that they're posting too many jobs. Don't inundate your audience with too many job postings. It becomes repetitive, and people will unlike you. So save job postings for maybe 1 or 2 a week, and really hard-hitting jobs. Don't have an automatic feed from your job board to your Facebook page. You'll find that people will get turned off. And the last tip here, don't sell. Social media isn't about selling. It's about sharing information. It's about creating back and forth dialogue. So don't sell. The selling will come organically if you're doing these other things correctly. So let's transition over to Twitter. With Twitter, you want to pick a good handle. You want to create a custom background, write a strong description with keywords so that people can find you. So some suggestions I have for you on Twitter is share upcoming events or news. Leading up to this event, we made several posts about Lunch with Haley in the event. Make sure that you're doing similar things. If you're attending a job fair, get that up on your website. If you're writing blog content, distribute that here. Share interesting stats or quotes. So if you find great information or you read a great article, oftentimes we'll have a share button. Click the Twitter icon, and it's one or two clicks to get this posted on your Twitter account. Retweet good information from thought leaders and influencers. So if there's other people in your market that already have the ear of your target audience, begin building a relationship with them. Okay, share their content. It's providing value, and it's a great way to increase the likelihood that they'll in turn retweet you. So as you begin building that relationship, a reciprocal relationship with people on Twitter, you're sharing their information, so they're more likely to share your information. Collectively, you're getting your name and your content in front of a much wider audience. So look for those strategic alliances. Look for people, vendors in your market that serve the same types of clients you're targeting, and form that reciprocal relationship. Help each other out. Reach out directly to prospects and influencers out there. So if there's a business consultant in your local market, reach out to them and form a relationship. Start building a relationship. If you're attending a business networking event or a conference, reach out to speakers there. Okay, get your name and your face in front of them. And I shared an example here on this slide of a time when I did this with a speaker at a staffing industry event. So Chris Brogan, who is one of the most respected online and social media consultants in the world, best-selling author, great consultant, works with some of the world's top companies on crafting their social media policy. He presented at the executive forum. So leading up to the executive forum, I sent him some direct messages through Twitter in some tweets. And just by doing that, it helped lead up to meeting him face-to-face at the event. So we traded messages back and forth, and he said, "Hey, let's I'm going to be there right before the event. Let's sit down and have coffee." Okay, so we had coffee, and during his keynote presentation in front of 800 staffing executives, he said, "You know what? I'm giving you all these tips, but there's somebody in the audience here that specializes in the staffing and recruiting industry and can help you implement all these tips." And he mentioned me by name and said, "You know what, after this, go, we had a booth, go see Haley Marketing and talk to them about your social media challenge." So just by forming that relationship ahead of time, I had a extremely well-respected thought leader in the space become an advocate for our services. You can do the same thing. So connect with people. And Twitter gives you a great way to connect with people that you normally wouldn't have access to. So to wrap things up on Twitter, so here are some keys. On Facebook, I told you not to post a lot of jobs because it becomes repetitive. On Twitter, you can. So if you do have a job feed from your job board, Twitter is a great place to use that. You can tweet a lot of jobs, and it's not going to become too repetitive for your Twitter followers. You can post several times a day, and I actually encourage it. Don't sell all the time, but once in a while, you can put a sales pitch out there on Twitter. But again, social media is more about a social relationship, so don't overdo it. Have some fun, just like we mentioned on Facebook. The fun stuff gets feedback. Get personal. So on your personal Twitter account, share hobbies, share interests. If you have a favorite sports team, don't be afraid to let people know that. Sharing that personal information can help you build good personal relationships with prospects, and it's a great way to get your foot in the door. And reach out to others and retweet. All right, so we talked about the big three: LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're not going to talk about all these other channels because we just don't have time, but they are extremely important. Google Plus is becoming more and more important. It's becoming a search engine driver. So if you want to improve your search rankings, make sure you have a presence on Google Plus. YouTube is the second most used search engine in the world behind Google. Okay, if you have some videos, get them up on YouTube. Create a YouTube channel. You don't have to have professionally shot video to have a good YouTube channel. Here at Haley, we had a professionally shot video commercial. It's a great piece of content. But we also do how-to videos that are very basic, that aren't professionally shot. They both have their place on YouTube, and they're both things that you can easily do in your office. Look at sites like Flickr and Instagram and get a presence there. Look at a site like Pinterest and create a presence for your brand there. It actually amazed me, and continues to amaze me, how much traffic we get from Pinterest. And some of our clients are using it effectively too. You can put resume formats, interview dress examples, and then some fun stuff too on Pinterest. And people seem to engage with Pinterest on a little bit more frequent level, so it's a great social network. I want to kind of wrap things up with talking a little bit about social review sites. People have the ability, as we mentioned before, 42% of people have said that they left an online review for someone. That number is increasing exponentially each year. Excuse me. So pay attention to what people are saying on Yahoo Local, on Google Plus, on Yelp. People are talking about staffing services, and they may or may not be talking about your staffing company. Okay, you need to pay attention, and you need to make sure that you control the conversation. These review sites are important because people really trust them. An online review site can either make or break your chances of working with a new client. And unfortunately, what you'll find is most people won't leave a review unless they had a bad experience or a really extremely positive experience. So with the nature of our business in the staffing industry, you're just going to get some people, some candidates that aren't placeable, that are going to be very vocal out there. So if you haven't run into this before, you probably will sometime in the future. You're going to get somebody that leaves a bad review just because you couldn't place them. And this doesn't have to be a bad thing. You can actually turn this into a positive. So if you are dealing with a bad review, I suggest, number one, respond and apologize. Explain to them that you're sorry they had that experience. Okay, explain what you're doing in your service process to make sure that this doesn't happen with future people, and try to solve their problem. Okay, what I want to encourage you not to do, though, is get in a back and forth discussion online. Okay, so leave one response that fully answers their question or their complaint, and then pick up the phone and call them if you can. Try to rectify the situation offline. You don't want to get into a back and forth, he said, she said, over the online network, because that creates a trail of the conversation. So pick up the phone and call them. But probably the most important thing that you can do in dealing with a bad review is to flood these social review sites with positive reviews. So when you place a candidate at one of your clients and they're happy about it, ask them to leave a good review for you. Okay, there's no shame in asking. They don't have to, but encourage them to. Ask your candidates to leave good reviews. If you get a great in-person or email testimonial, send that person a link to your Yelp page or your Google Plus page. Make it easy for them to leave a positive review. And then on your website, look at ways that you can incorporate things like the Google Plus One button so people can more easily leave good reviews. And I thought this was a great idea that one of our clients is doing. They have on-site review stations. So right in their lobby, they have a review station where people can log into Facebook, like the company page, and leave a good review. Okay, you could do the same thing with Yelp, Google+, Yahoo Local. Encourage people while they're at your facility to like you, to follow you on social networks, and to leave a positive comment. All right, all of this is great, but it's useless unless you're out there listening. You need to make sure that you know exactly what's being said about your company. Okay, and a great way to do this is through a Google alert. Google has this great free tool that allows you to set up alerts so you're notified every time somebody is talking about a specific company, a specific person by name, a topic, etc. So set up Google Alerts for terms like hiring and jobs in your market. Be a great way to find out what companies are hiring in your local marketplace, and then have one of your sales team members follow up with them. Set up Google Alerts for your company name so you're notified when people are talking about your company by name. Set it up for your recruiters' names so that you can see if people have positive or negative experiences with your recruiters, and then you can use that to help improve your service process. Set up Google Alerts for your competitors' names. You want to make sure you stay on top of what's happening with your competitors, and it's a great way to do it. You can set up Google Alerts for your clients or your prospects' names so that you know what's happening in their business when it's happening. It's amazing how quick these search results get indexed and how quickly you get alerted to them. So again, it's a great tool to stay top of mind. Make sure that you know when somebody's talking about you or one of your team members. It's a great way to learn about the positives and negatives about your company, and it's a great way to stay on top of what's happening in your marketplace, both with your clients and with your competitors. So with that said, I wanted to open it now up to questions. And I'm told that there's been some great conversations that are happening over on Twitter and some great questions. And I have some of those here, so we can talk about those. But if you do want to talk offline, I'm more than happy to talk with you and answer any of your questions as well. So here's some of our contact information. Give us a call, send us an email. And if we haven't answered anything yet, make sure that you do use that question box in the right-hand column, and I'll stay on the line here and answer some of those questions, and also use our Twitter hashtag, LunchWithHaley. So a few questions are starting to come in now, and let me answer a few of those. Another request for the slides came in, and there is in the chat box. There is a link to the slides, so you can click on that link. We've posted that link to the Twitter account with the hashtag LunchWithHaley. You can find it there, and you'll also get an email with a link to these slides. The question came in on Twitter. Should companies stop using www for their website on print, etc.? Yes and no. I don't mind the www at all. But in purposes of saving space, you can leave that off. There's a little technical setup that needs to be done on your end to make sure that your website is properly set up so that if people type in www or leave it off, they get to the same place. So just test that before any print pieces go out. And I don't want to get into the specifics of that, but if you have questions about DNS and the difference between leaving that www on or off, give me a call offline and we can help there. Let's see here. Okay, here's another good question that came in. What if you have 2 roles or even 2 jobs? And this came in when we were talking about LinkedIn. If you have two different jobs, how do you display that on your LinkedIn profile? Well, the way LinkedIn works is you can only highlight one in your actual title. But you can list multiple positions in your profile. So I would pick the one that you spend the most time on, highlight that in the top of your profile, but then make sure the other one is also listed in your summary, and make sure that it's complete there. All right, another question came up on Twitter. Are there services that will create blogs for you if you don't have anyone on staff to write the content? And I swear to you, this isn't a planted question, but I will answer this. Yes, there are services out there that will create blogs for you, and Haley Marketing provides that service for a lot of our clients. We go through and generate content ideas and content suggestions. And that's based on a lot of keyword research that we do and a lot of topic research we do. And we'll actually go out and write that content on behalf of you. So it's ghost written. It's put up on your website. It is search engine optimized. We use tags and search optimized URLs so that you get the most search engine optimization value as possible. And make sure that we present your company in the right voice. So yes, there are services. We'd love to help you if you have any questions there. Let's see. Another question came in. What suggestions do you have for creating a catchy Facebook cover photo, profile picture, and tab designs? What I would suggest doing is having a little bit of fun. So I've seen some great Facebook profiles where they actually incorporate that profile picture in with their banner. So maybe they'll have somebody in their profile picture looking up at a bigger picture in their timeline banner. That's fun. The other thing that's fun is changing up your timeline banner. So there's nothing to say that that banner has to be static all the time. You could have 3 or 4 different rotating banners. Maybe they rotate with the seasons. Maybe they highlight a different member of your staff or an employee that you've placed that month, a top candidate. So think about ways to change it up. Think about ways to have a little bit of fun, and don't be afraid to let your company personality shine through in those Facebook cover images. Another question, with all the noise in social media, what's the key to getting people to actually pay attention to your online brand? Great question, and what I suggest doing is asking people offline what they're interested in or what their biggest pains and what their biggest challenges are. Earlier when we were talking about blogging and the keys to blogging, I mentioned that you should be out there talking to your clients, talking to your candidates about their biggest pain points. So if you can find out what keeps them up at night or find out what their biggest business challenges are, that makes for really, really compelling content. So if you can create compelling content that solves a specific problem they have, you're going to break through the noise. Okay, you're going to get their attention. Another thing to do, and this might add to the noise a little bit, but make sure that you're on every channel out there. So you're developing this great content. Hopefully it's hosted on your site, on your site's blog. So you're driving content from search engines that way. Because remember, each new blog post creates a new page on your website that's search engine optimized, so you're getting traffic from search engines. You should also be pushing that content out to LinkedIn, to Twitter, and to Facebook. Okay, so different people on each of those different networks are consuming that content. In LinkedIn, get that content in front of more groups. Okay, so increase the likelihood, increase the number of people that you're getting your message in front of. In addition to social media, hopefully you're sending that content out to your internal marketing list through an email newsletter. Email remains one of the most cost-effective ways to get your message in front of a large audience. Yeah, open rates have declined a little bit, click-through rates have declined a little bit, but it's still extremely effective and extremely cost affordable. So that's a great way to, again, just get your message in front of more people. So number one, make sure that you have a compelling message, and number two, surround your audience. Use as many channels as possible to get that message in front of as many people as possible. Another good question. Let's see, how in the world does a company start with social media having no presence at all? Seems overwhelming, and web design is expensive. Yes and no. So yeah, creating a good website can be expensive, but I think not creating a good website is way more expensive for your company in the long run. And what do I mean by that? If you don't have a good website, people are going to come to it once, and they're not going to call you. Consumers are becoming more savvy, so before they'll even consider picking up the phone and working with you, they're going to check out your presence online. So, you know, don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit of money to have a good website presence and a good social media presence, but it's going to be money well spent because you're probably losing a lot of prospects right now and a lot of candidates if your website and social presence isn't up to snuff. And most of the younger generation now, they're not just looking at your website, they're looking at your social presence. So if you're invisible on social media, you're going to be invisible to them. So again, there's a little bit of cost up front, but there's a much higher opportunity cost if you don't have a good presence in those outlets. And you know, if you don't have the time to manage all that, you know, again, self-serving, but there are companies that you can outsource that to. that are good at managing that, and we'd be happy to help you there. Let's see, another good question by Rachel. Do you have statistics that demonstrate the benefits that I can take to my company's owners that will help me justify the importance of increasing our budget for online branding? Yes, we certainly do. There's a lot of great statistics on our blog, and that's at haleymarketing.com, and we have an entire freebies section there. And actually on the screen right now, there's some links to several of the freebies there. There's some great statistics in these. Some great statistics we share, and then I invite you to give us a call too. We have statistics on over 300 staffing and recruiting websites out there, so I can get you statistics in a specific market segment, a specific company size, and really show you what value these things that we talked about have. So if that's something you're looking for, please just pick up the phone, give us a call, and I'd be happy to share that information. A follow-up to one of our earlier questions about Haley writing blogs. Can we augment those blogs with our own? Yes, and I strongly encourage it. So with a lot of our clients that we do blog writing for, we'll write between 4 and 8 posts per month typically, and then we encourage our clients to augment that with blog posts from their internal team. The more, the better. Again, each new blog post creates a new page on your site. It's a new opportunity to rank well in search results and drive traffic back to your site. So I often find the most successful people are the people that outsource some of their content development and then keep some of that in-house. So yes, that's definitely an option. Another question, how does your offline marketing and sales efforts affect your online brand? Very good question, and what I would say is make sure that you have a consistent message across the board. What your salespeople are saying out in the field should match what you're presenting in your online brand. Also, if your salespeople are out there handing out collateral, handing out business cards, make sure that you get your online presence on those business cards. So on the back of my business card, it's not just blank on the back of it. I have links to all of my social outlets on the card. So think about the materials that you're sharing with people and make sure that you get your online presence integrated into those as well. And I know we're going over a little bit on time, but there's still some great questions coming in. So feel free to stay on the line or leave if you have another appointment, but I'll continue to answer some of these questions that come in. Oh, I had somebody actually mention, somebody that downloaded our blogging white paper from our website said that there's some great stats on blogging there, so thank you very much. Another question came in. If you're a firm who hasn't been active on social media for a while, would you prioritize your focus on blogging or Facebook first? And my answer to that is yes. What I suggest doing is actually focusing on content development first. So generate the content, okay, get that content up on your blog, and then begin feeding that blog content to your social media outlets. And I think that is the most efficient way to approach this to begin with. Okay, once you develop the content, house it on your site, feed it out to social outlets. Once you start doing that, then look at your social outlets and look at supplementing other types of content there beyond just blog content. So tips and best practices, funny photos, trivia, that type of thing. All right. Another question, does changing your blog post URL from its original form to a bit.ly form decrease SEO? And bit.ly is a URL shortener. So most of your blog posts that you put up will, Twitter will and bit.ly will shrink that URL so it doesn't eat into all your characters. And the question was, I tend to change the URLs in social media to bit.ly to shorten or to make the post flow a little nicer. And I would suggest continuing to do that. You don't want a URL that stretches over 2 lines. It's not going to really decrease the SEO value that much. What's more beneficial is people clicking on that URL. So use those extra characters to sell the value of that piece of content, drive more traffic there, and in turn you'll have some SEO value. So no, I would say that using a shortener like that doesn't necessarily negatively impact you. Another question, in addition to the slides, will you be making the recording available too? We certainly will. Typically it just takes us a few days to prep that video, so we'll get that video up on our site, and make sure that you visit the freebies section of our site. Once you register, you'll have access to all of our webinar recordings, including this one. Another question, do we need to post unique content to each social media channel? No, not necessarily. I actually will use the same piece of content on several different channels. So you're going to have some overlap. So some people that follow you on Facebook and Twitter might see the message twice. That's not a bad thing. Okay, that just increases the likelihood that they're actually going to click on it. So when I distribute content, I distribute it on my LinkedIn status update. We get that up on our Facebook page, and we get that on our Twitter account. Okay, but then I'll also go back in and supplement specific content to specific networks. So there's some things that I do on Twitter that I don't do on LinkedIn and Facebook, etc. So you know, for your blog content, I distribute that to all your social outlets, and then for other quick-hitting pieces of content, look at the audience you have on that social network and gear your content around that audience. So your connections on LinkedIn are going to be very different than, in most cases, than your connections on Facebook. So look at your audience, think about what's important to them, and change your message that way. Let's see, how important is printed collateral? Another question came in when we were talking about print collateral. I think it depends on your business model, your mix-up, and your industry. I think it's nice to have something tangible if you do a lot of in-person. Okay, and it could be maybe it's just a printout of an ebook that you put together. We do that frequently. So we'll turn a blog post or a series of blog posts into a nice handout or a nice giveaway. I think there's some big value into having a piece like that to give to people. It's a nice leave-behind piece. Hopefully it's branded to you so that it sits on their desk and they see it a week from now. So I think there's a lot of value in doing that. But look at ways to integrate the two. So if you're creating printed pieces, number one, make sure they have value and they give value to the client, not just an overview of your services. But number two, leverage that on your online outlets too. So if you're creating a printed brochure or a printed handout, create an online version of that too. Get that up on your social outlets and vice versa. All right. Well, I think, again, we went way over, but there are some great questions here, and I think that that does it on the question. So if there's something that I didn't answer, I encourage you to reach out and let me know, and we can cover that one-on-one offline. And then I also want to encourage everyone to sign up for our next Lunch with Haley. It is one of our most popular events that we do each year, and it's a show and tell. And what we're going to do is show off marketing from other staffing and recruiting firms. We'll show you what worked. So it's a must-attend event. If you're interested in redoing your website, or you're looking at direct mail pieces, or social media marketing, or search engine optimization, you're going to want to attend this event. We're going to show you what worked and what results people had with these initiatives. So you're going to pick up some great things that you can implement in your own organization. And that's happening on Thursday, July 25th at 2 p.m. So thank you so much for joining us on today's Lunch with Haley. Again, I'm sorry we ran over, but hopefully there was some value in sticking around. And I encourage you to pick up the phone, give us a call if you have any questions or you need help with anything. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you at the next Lunch with Haley.